order to tailor the process of processing the bib records more effectively, we've divided the processing into a number of streams. Most customers supply files of bib and holdings records. Bibs only loads are supplied by a few library suppliers who, of course, because they don't have a collection, don't have a location, but they're supplying records for use by their customers. Holdings only loads are a common method for customers to keep their holdings up to date, and when all the records in a file are known to be new to the National Library or are so similar to each other that match merge might have problems distinguishing them. Did I hear somebody giggling and when I said that? No? Then I can add them directly to the database without matching. The National Library and other appropriate sources of good quality cataloguing records are permitted priority in the merge process, which allows a record to effectively overlay. There's no such thing, it doesn't actually overlay, it actually gets priority in the merge process. Files destined for these different streams are generally identified by different codes used in the file name. So when you FTP a file, you'll have a code, that central letter, the B, H or D in the file name. The system will recognise that and push it down a particular processing path, push the file down a particular processing path. That's why the file names are important. And the parsing of them important. There was one library that consistently left the hyphen out and were wondering why their files didn't get processed. But records then pass through a set of filters. Now these filters are designed to standardise the marked data from the different sources for loading into the cataloguing database. And these filters are made up of individual rules. For example, convert the 984 field where the holdings, where you send holdings into the 850 field that you see on the database. We combine individual rules into sets, and those sets are combined into profiles. So a single profile could be used by a number of libraries. For example, most people, there's a single customer files profile for loading their bib and holdings files. But I can also say if you can't suppress your local system number in the 001, I can knock that out. If you can't supply a call number in the holding statement, I can add a holding statement with just held in it to each record as they go in. So there are options for customisations at looking at your individual files from individual libraries, and I've even done customisations for individual file loads, particularly where somebody was doing a retrospective load and it had to be manipulated in a certain way. And there's an interesting one that's come up recently from a library which has a lot of manuscript, some very interesting manuscript material, but they don't have any 008s in their records. And I'm going to have to design some sort of rule that will allow dummy 008s to be put in to allow those records to load, because they can't load at the moment. The filters also are used to correct some common errors and validate some coded data positions. Most libraries supply us with Mark 8 encoded records. Some libraries have converted over to the UTF-8. Our database is in UTF-8. But you may supply one or the other from your site. That means that all files coming from that site must be encoded in one or the other encoding scheme. You can't sort of send one file in UTF-8 and the next one in Mark 8. Your site is either a UTF-8 site or a Mark 8 site. This is very important for all those of you that send script records. And there are more of those, and that's a very encouraging thing to see. Now, I'm going to have to learn how to use this. The match merge algorithm. Now this is the occult heart of the record import service, as you all know. The match merging algorithm uses a number of different elements in a record to determine whether an element is the incoming record is a match with the record on the database. We look certainly at the 001 field, which should contain our ANBD number. We look at the Library of Congress control number, and we look at any system control numbers that you have previously supplied to us. If it doesn't find any match on one of those three items, it will then go to a similarity algorithm, which takes into account the similarity between the titles of the records, any primary and secondary names, that's the 100 or 700 tags. It looks at the type of material, it's the leader 06. It looks at the form of item, the bibliographic level of the item, and the date of publication and the country of publication codes in the 008. If the incoming record matches a single database record, the matched record is sent then to a preferral process to determine which record is the best record to use as the basis for the merge. If the incoming record matches more than one database record, then that record is sent to review by National Library staff. And at the moment those figures don't add up. Oh, I'll get to that. If the you may have heard me say those figures don't add up. They never have. I've said that one or two times. If the incoming record fails to match a database record, then the incoming record is added. It's decided that it's new. However, every automated system has its limitations, and the process will break down if the items provided in the file are too similar with no distinguishing features. For example, if it's some files of non-book material, such as collections of maps or photographs. For example, there's some where the only difference in a map might be a code that says that it's coloured or black and white, or in series of photographs where the description is a consecutive series of images of the same object, where they may just be differentiated in the title by a number 1, 2, 3. In that case, the similarity algorithm isn't going to have enough information to differentiate the records, and those sorts of files should be sent to me to load separately with the match merge switched off, so that those records can go on without the danger of them running over each other. The match merge algorithm determines the preferred record by weighing up the relative value of the various factors in the record, including the record source, the contribution level, encoding level, and what tags are present in the record. The information in the preferred record is generally retained, but some data may be taken from the unpreferred record if it's considered of higher quality or it doesn't exist in the preferred record. It'll generally do this in a group. So if the preferred record has say a 500 tag, and the unpreferred record has 3 500 tags, it will not take anything because it says I already have a 500 tag, I don't need any more. If it doesn't have any, it'll take all 3, but it won't take one out of a group. It takes it as a group.